Hello, everybody. I am an English teacher in the Central Asian Innovational University at the Department of Language and Literature. Today, I'll read the lecture on methods of foreign language teaching. The theme, teaching reading. Today, we consider about the foreign language teaching methodology of teaching reading. And the plan, the first, we consider about the introduction, the importance of teaching reading, types of reading, stages of teaching reading, and the end conclusion. Okay, let's talk about the teaching reading introduction. In order to guide the students to use helpful strategies when they read in a foreign language, the teacher can guide them by designing tasks or activities. Tasks or activities are exercises in which there are exercises intended to facilitate learning. Also, the importance of teaching reading, just we should know about the four ways of teaching reading ways. The first, teaching reading is the language course should include the following set of foreign learning goals. The first, enable students to read a wide range of texts in English. The second, develop awareness of the structures of the written English texts. The third, develop the ability of criticizing the content of texts. The fourth, practice different types of reading according to the purpose of reading. At the end, also the fifth, exposing students to different types of texts to build solid knowledge of the language and to facilitate reading in future. Okay, so let's talk about the types of reading. Types of reading, the skimming, it's a reading for the gist or the main idea of the text. The second, the scanning. It is reading to find the specific information. For example, when we read the one text, we should find the specific information. The third, extensive reading, reading for pleasure and the general understanding. For example, when we read one text, we should find the meaning, what is that this text, and which will lead to understand it. Next, the fourth, intensive reading, reading for getting the details. And here, just to find the details when we read this text. Next, time for a break. For example, the situation, the topic of the text is related to politics, which is quite boring for teens. The teacher should intersect the students before they start reading. What will you do instead of this teacher? How will we begin the lesson? When we plan our, for example, our lecture, just we can give the students one more text. Just we think about it. What will be reading? Just for example, interesting for the students, for example, and we'll try to find the more interesting texts for the students. Next, there are three stages of teaching reading. Stage one, before reading, reading, for example. Next, activated prior knowledge. Present new concepts and key vocabulary. Motivate to read by asking them interesting questions, the answers of which will be in the text. And ask students what information they predict to be included in the text. For example, before the giving the text, we can put more or some questions for the students. For example, how do you think? What kind of text is it? For example, or the next question will be such as, for example, what kind of books do you like to read? How do you think? What about this book, for example? Just or just we can give the motivations for them. When you read this book, we can take more information about, for example, about the science, about etc. So everything. Yeah, just next. Also, just can stage two can during the reading. For example, we think about answers to certain questions. Students read, comprehend, clarify, visualize, build connections, read, achieve the purpose for reading. For example, this is an example just here, mark true or false based on the reading, numbers the events as they. For example, just we can talk about the one more sentence. Is it true or false? And they will be answers true or false. Yeah? Just it's one of the game in the grammar. Next. uh, we can we have more methods to give the students. For example, when we motivate them to read books, yeah, reading. For example, activities while reading stages, activities post reading stages. For here, just we can write the some words, activities words here. Just we can divide into two groups. Next, here, uh, stage three. Stage three, just after reading or just post reading, students expand prior knowledge, build connections, depend understanding. So, for example, deepen understanding how can we understand it? For example, as a student or the reader wants to read it and to understand deeply, for example. Students show their understanding of what they have read by answering some comprehension questions, evaluate the value and the quality of the text, respond to the text by discussing its main ideas, write a short summary of the reading with the following and support your argument. For example, just we can say it for the students to write short or to tell about short write or tell about a short summary about the text. For example, read it following, or just you can support your argument for the, I agree or disagree in this sentence, for example. Also, just you can give more exercises after reading the text. Yeah? At the end, we can give the conclusion. For example, it's a good idea to guide the English foreign language teaching learners through tasks or activities when the teacher follows the format pre-activity, while activity, and post-activity, and uses authentic materials. Learners may have better and real interaction with the reading. For example, just we can it is how to say we can say that reading is one of the important methods in foreign language teaching. Yeah? Just that's why we can give more activities for the learners for language teaching. Yeah? We can give more reading texts. Maybe we can begin it from the short stories, short texts, and then give it and to discuss about it, to find new words, just or just you can one of the shortest say about it. What is the most recommended procedure of teaching reading foreign language? So here we can using the literature, and I think my video was for you more useful. Just I'll try to give more some information about the teaching reading foreign language teaching. Thank you for attention and participation. Goodbye.